Well, let's address this thing from the top down. And we're going to call it a Mitzriam, meaning a new beginning. But the importance here is to understand first how elegantly our body is put together. I think science is just coming to grips with all of the things that take place in your body and my body. And if we clog it up, it doesn't function as well. So let's start with the brain. We now know that there's not a lymph system in the brain. So that lymph system, which is from the neck down, which cleans the rest of the body, but the brain, which gets all clogged up, we know that in a deep REM sleep, it's a combination of balancing the glutamate and the GABA to where you can get into sleep, which around 60% of Americans never get into it. What if we produced a product that would allow that? We call it Mitzriam. Then all at once this brain, according to UCLA, shrinks by up to 60%, allowing a cerebral fluid to go through and flush the brain, all the amyloid beta plaque, which is a protein plaque, out of your system, cleaning the brain. How interesting could that be to wake up every morning with a refreshed brain ready for the day? How much better could you function mentally? And think about what's going on in the world of academia with our kids that are waking up foggy because they're listening to all of the stimulants from their telephones. And we're seeing that now, the damage that it's done. And we just need to understand that they're asking for help. We need to answer that in a way that's not abusive, that's in questions and answers. If that could be done, then we move to the body. It too works on a cleansing mode. But it's the lymph system that's huge. So we begin with the liver. I mean, if you have clean liver, you have a clean brain, clean blood. And that's the beginning, because tissue that is clean functions much more efficiently. It repairs much more efficiently. The recovery rate is quicker. So there's a bunch of things that take place in understanding the importance of the liver. And yet 80% of Americans are dealing with a liver that's not functioning correctly. Think about that. And then the kidneys that come along with it. In the digestive tract, where we know now that depression begins in the digestive tract, and it's also called the second brain. So if it's a second brain and it functions and has such an effect on the main brain that runs everything, you would think that we would want to clean that. Well, you can't clean it with processed foods. It doesn't work that way. And clogged up, and depression and your immune system, all of these things are developing in your gut, along with a certain amount of hormones that have an effect on your emotions. So if we're going to do this, let's talk about eliminating the toxins correctly. And then the funny part, my dentist and I were going around the other day, and we've agreed, because of his academic functioning, is all disease begin in the mouth. And that 90+% of his patients, along with all of the other dentists, are dealing with periodontal diseases. So you would think that we would look at what's causing the periodontal disease, and you'd be surprised. There's a little thing called biofilm that coats the tooth and the gums, where all of this bacteria and virus and trash begins to grow, and it eats away at the health of the gum and tooth. Well, that's basically a carbohydrate. So why don't we address the emotions that drive the eating habits of carbohydrates, which make you feel better? And then that affects the brain. You poke holes in the brain because of the emotional. We look at people that are taking all of the drugs, street drugs, because of emotional issues. So if they don't feel good about themselves and they don't have purpose, if we gave them the ability to have purpose and they function along those lines, they would change their diet, and you wouldn't have to get involved, because they would look at something and say, gosh, this is not good for me. I better look at what is good for me from a physical and emotional viewpoint, which has an effect on your spiritual and your financial well-being. And then your skin, understanding that this skin is so important, and we coat it to cover up the aging process, when if we understood that healing of your body goes from the inside. And if you look at this skin that I've depicted here, the unhealthy skin, you can transform it into healthy skin, which functions so importantly in protecting you in the elimination of toxins from your body. But if it's all clogged up, they're all trapped, and then you're starting to deal with such things as arthritis and diseases that come from an assortment of dealing with a body that's not clean. And we at Nefesh, we want to show you that way of eliminating these things from your system, and all at once you have an effect on the aging process, the performance process, everything that's dealing with your job and your professions and your family life. If you really feel good about yourself, you're happier, and happy people perform better.